the room, only the soft, warm light of a desk lamp is on. Outside the window, it's quiet, and your little hamster has finally decided to come out of his cozy house. His nose is actively twitching as he sniffs the air around him, as if exploring every corner of the space. You smile, because these quiet, intimate moments are the warmest and most special in your daily relationship. You slowly reach out your hand, wanting to gently run your finger over his soft fur, when suddenly a sharp, unexpected flash of pain occurs. Small, but incredibly sharp teeth sink into the skin of your finger. Not enough to draw blood, but hard enough that you instinctively pull your hand back and feel a whole cocktail of emotions rising inside. Sudden surprise, slight resentment, confusion, and of course, the main question that arises for almost every hamster owner. Why? I feed you fresh vegetables every day, clean your cage, try not to disturb you during the day, and give you only the best. Why do you bite me when I love you so much? This has happened to almost every person who keeps a hamster at home, and almost always the same thoughts flash through their mind in those seconds. Maybe my pet just has a bad personality by nature. Or he doesn't actually love me. Or I made a serious mistake in his care, and now I'm paying for it. But today we're going to dive very deep together and examine the real dark side of that attachment you both feel for each other. We'll talk about why a hamster bite is almost never an expression of hatred or malice, but much more often a desperate signal of pain, fear, severe stress, ancient instincts, or an attempt to tell you something very important in his own unique language. If you have a hamster who sometimes shows these sharp sides of his character, this video is made specifically for you. After watching it, you'll start looking at your little friend with completely different eyes and, perhaps, finally stop feeling guilty about every such moment. Let's start right from the beginning by debunking the main myth that makes thousands of hamster owners feel guilty, offended, and even disappointed in their pet. When a hamster bites a finger, almost everyone immediately concludes, "He doesn't love me." But scientific studies on rodent behavior, conducted over many years in specialized laboratories around the world, paint a completely different, much more complex, and multifaceted picture. Hamsters have incredibly powerful jaws compared to their tiny front paws. Their teeth are a true, universal, multifunctional tool. They use them not only to eat, but also to dig burrows, carry nesting material, explore new objects, move things that are in the way, and even test everything suspicious in their environment with their teeth. When a hamster nips your hand, for him it's most often not an emotional attack, but simply a practical, instinctive action to check, move, or explore an unknown object. But here's where the story becomes truly interesting, multi-layered, and even somewhat unexpected. Different hamster breeds behave very differently. Take Syrian hamsters, especially females. They have much stronger territorial aggression than dwarf breeds like Jungarian or Roborovsky hamsters. For a Syrian hamster, his cage is not just a home. It's an entire sacred empire that must be defended at all costs. Any intrusion, even your caring hand holding a piece of his favorite treat, can be perceived as a serious threat to his personal boundaries. This isn't about you personally. These are ancient survival instincts that helped their ancestors survive in the harsh wild among predators. They're not angry at you as a person. They're protecting their small but very important world. Now let's move on to something that's very rarely discussed in popular videos and articles about hamsters: the hidden medical reasons behind sudden and recurring bites. Imagine this situation. Your hamster has been calm, affectionate, and even approached you for months, and then suddenly starts snapping at any touch. Many owners at this point start blaming themselves, thinking they ruined the pet, didn't spend enough time with him, or fed him incorrectly. But often the real reason lies deep in his health. One of the most common and underestimated problems is overgrown teeth. Hamsters' teeth grow constantly throughout their lives, and if there isn't enough hard food or special mineral stones for grinding in their diet, they can grow too long and start causing severe, constant pain. Veterinary studies show that in such cases, any touch to the face or cheeks triggers a real defensive reaction. A hamster can't say in words, "My teeth hurt." The only way of communication he has is biting. Another little-known but very important fact discovered by researchers studying metabolic diseases in rodents: hamsters, especially Syrians, quite often suffer from diabetes. When blood sugar levels become unstable, the animal experiences strong internal discomfort, lethargy, increased irritability, and even pain. During these moments, bites become much more frequent and unexpected. This isn't a sign of a bad personality. It's a physiological reaction to internal problems in the body. If your hamster is already over 1.5 to 2 years old, and his behavior has changed sharply without visible reasons, this is an important signal to consult a good veterinarian and run the necessary tests. Early detection of the problem can significantly improve your pet's quality of life and even save him. And now, let's talk about one of the most amazing things in the world of hamsters: scents, and how they completely control their behavior. Hamsters live in a world where their sense of smell is hundreds of times sharper than humans. Their nose can distinguish the tiniest chemical nuances that we don't even notice. If your hands smell of cream, perfume, food, or if you've petted another pet, the hamster might simply not recognize you as his person. Scientists call this phenomenon olfactory confusion. A hamster doesn't bite because he's angry at you, but because his brain instantly signals danger and the need to protect his territory from what he considers a potential threat. There is also a very touching, bright side to these bites that almost no one talks about. Sometimes those same light nips that we perceive as aggression are actually grooming behavior, an attempt to clean and tidy up a member of their social group. In nature, hamsters groom each other in exactly this way to strengthen bonds within the colony. But the strength of their jaws is such that even the gentlest brushing can feel quite painful on human skin. This isn't aggression. It's a sign of deep trust. The hamster is including you in his tight inner circle as a true relative. However, there is also a real dark side to this attachment: chronic stress from living conditions, which many owners aren't even aware of. Unfortunately, many hamsters live in cages that are too small, without a properly sized running wheel, with constant daytime noise when they should be sleeping deeply. All of this leads to a condition specialists call bar biting syndrome. The hamster constantly gnaws on the cage bars from nervous tension, and then this accumulated irritation gets transferred to the owner's hands. A hamster isn't mean by nature. He's simply overloaded with stress and trying to somehow set boundaries in his severely limited space. Numerous studies on rodent welfare in domestic conditions convincingly show that significantly increasing cage size, adding various enriching elements, and ensuring complete silence during the day sharply reduce this defensive behavior. Protective instincts are especially strong in pregnant or recently birthed females. During this period, their hormonal background changes dramatically, and territoriality reaches its absolute peak. A bite at this moment is almost always a clear and unambiguous warning. Don't come near the nest. My babies are here, and I will protect them at all costs. This is pure nature taking care of the continuation of the species. If you're planning to breed or have a female in this physiological state, the best solution is to give her maximum space, silence, and minimal human interference. Why does a hamster sometimes bite only one specific family member while completely ignoring or even approaching others? The answer again lies in biology. Every person has a unique individual scent, a combination of perfume, hand cream, natural hormonal background, and even what you ate the day before. A hamster may consider one person completely safe and familiar, and another a potential threat. This doesn't mean you're doing something wrong as an owner. It's simply a feature of their hypersensitive sensory system, which works completely differently from ours. A big and very common mistake many owners make right after a bite is to shout loudly, jerk their hand away sharply, or try to punish the hamster. For a small animal, such actions only greatly increase fear. He quickly remembers, human hand equals danger, and the cycle of misunderstanding and mutual fear closes. Instead, try to keep your voice as calm as possible. Speak softly and affectionately, and always approach from the side, not from above, because movement from above is instinctively perceived by a hamster as a predator's attack. Now, let's break down in detail the practical steps that really help reduce the number of bites and build more trusting, harmonious relationships. First, always wash your hands thoroughly before interacting, using the most neutral soap without strong scents. Second, never pick up the hamster by force. Give him the opportunity to decide whether he wants contact at the moment. Every time he voluntarily climbs onto your hand, it strengthens the bond at a deep level. Third, carefully monitor the living conditions. A large running wheel, a deep layer of safe bedding, several different hides, and enough hard food to grind his teeth. This is the real foundation for preventing stress and related bites. Also, try introducing new toys and tunnels gradually so the hamster doesn't experience additional stress from sudden changes. You know what personally amazes and delights me the most about these tiny, fluffy creatures? Despite all their ancient survival instincts, despite the fact that we look like huge, incomprehensible giants to them, they still reach out to humans. The same hamster who just lightly nipped you in a moment of stress or pain can, literally a few minutes later, calmly climb into your palm, curl up, and peacefully fall asleep. This is real, complex, multifaceted attachment, with moments of misunderstanding, with dark sides, but incredibly sincere and deep. When you finally stop perceiving every bite as a personal offense and start seeing the real reason behind it, whether it's tooth pain, scent confusion, stress, or an attempt to make contact, your relationship with your hamster moves to a completely new, more conscious and harmonious level. You become not just an owner, but a truly understanding friend to your pet. And believe me, the hamster feels this on a very deep, instinctive level. If this video helped you look at your little friend's behavior in a new way, and at least a little relieved your sense of guilt, be sure to like it. It really motivates us to create more useful content. Write right now in the comments, has your hamster ever bitten you? In what situations did it happen most often? And what did you used to think about it? I try to read absolutely all the comments and reply whenever possible. Let as many people as possible start to better understand their furry companions. In the next video, we'll cover a very fascinating topic: why your hamster constantly steals absolutely everything and hides his treasures in the most unexpected places in the house. There will be even more amazing scientific facts, little-known details, and practical tips that will definitely be useful for every owner.